Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Fulton Career Cast. Today I have Joe Kelly with me, uh, works at Under Armour, and I'm excited to welcome Joe to the show. Joe, how's it going?
Good. Thank you. Great to be here. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It definitely would have liked to do this in the office, but here we are 8 months later and doing this from my kitchen. So,
Here we are. Well, good. Well, Joe's calling us in from Maryland, I believe. Under Armour's headquartered there, right?
yep, headquartered down in Baltimore.
Good, good. So, Joe, just for our students, could you kind of just go a little bit into your experience at BC undergrad, kind of concentration when you graduated, and some of your campus involvement?
Sure. So at BC, I graduated from CSOM in 2016, and I had a concentration in finance and economics. And then outside of CSOM, I was involved heavily in community service through the first year service program as well as the Pulse program. So community service was something that I was involved with in high school and wanted to take that with me to BC, and definitely plenty of opportunities at BC in the community service world. And then during my junior and senior years, I was a tour guide on campus. So looking back in high school, when you're visiting college campuses, going on a tour and meeting your tour guide could be one of the first impressions you have of a college campus. So I just wanted to go out in every tour that I led and try and give BC the best possible impression for prospective students and their families. So then hopefully they would want to apply and then end up coming to BC. But overall, just love my 4 years at BC, whether it be doing different things on campus or taking advantage of going into the city, especially the Fenway area. I love going to Red Sox games, even though I'm a Yankee fan. Just a great stadium and a great area. So great 4 years at BC.
That's awesome, and I won't hold the Yankee fan Red Sox rivalry against you. How about that?
Sounds good. Thank you.
So, being a finance and econ major, I think you touched on it a little bit, but usually you don't see those type of majors going into more of an operational supply chain role. I think
Sure.
you said that you thought you'd be Wall Street, but could you kind of talk a little bit more about how you ended up with Under Armour and just your experience getting there?
Sure. So growing up, I always wanted to find a way to get into the sports world when I started working. And, of course, I definitely wanted to be the next Derek Jeter when I was younger. But as I played more and more baseball, I realized, like, all right, that's not going to happen. Time to get a little realistic. So one day I was just sitting in the library and was scrolling through Eagle Link during my sophomore year and just looking for different opportunities of what to do after my sophomore year and hopefully get an internship. And I stumbled across a link for a internship program down at Under Armour's headquarters in Baltimore. So at the time, I didn't have any friends in Baltimore, but I just figured, hey, you know what? This is a different opportunity. Let me apply and hope for the best. So after I applied, I had a couple of interviews, and then I ended up landing an internship on their Olympics and soccer sports marketing team. So definitely something different than studying than what I was used to in school, studying finance and economics. But I just figured, hey, you know what? Let me try this out. Had a great time, really enjoyed the experience down in Baltimore and the Under Armour internship program as a whole. So on the Olympic side of the team, this was during the summer of 2014. So it was right after the Sochi Olympics in Russia, and Under Armour had some athletes there. So we were just starting to do a analysis on the Olympics as a whole. How many viewers did we have? How many social media engagements? How many people went to the Olympics versus how many people went to the city of Sochi as a whole? Just because sometimes people just want to be in the city
Yep.
during that time. It seems like an awesome event to be to, any Olympics. And then we wanted to take those learnings and then apply them to our plans for the Summer Olympics in Rio during 2016. So I like that aspect, kind of a hindsight analysis of what happened and how can we apply to our future learnings. And then on the soccer side of the business at Under Armour is very small. It was even smaller back in 2014. So we wanted to look and say, okay, what are our competitors doing? What's Nike doing? What's Adi doing? What's Puma doing in this business? What products are they making? What price points are they selling their products at? Just so we can start to get an idea of, okay, how can we gain market share in this sport? So I had a great experience. It was a 12-week program, really liked it. But at the end of the summer, I liked Under Armour and I liked the city of Baltimore. I wanted to come back.
Yep.
But after that summer, I realized, like, hey, I think I want to get involved more of something business, kind of more something that I was focused on what I'm doing at school. So stayed in touch with people at Under Armour throughout my junior year and then applied again for the internship program and landed another internship at Under Armour after my junior year, and this time it was on the North America inventory team. So this was definitely a lot more numbers focused every day. And the goal of that team was to maximize revenue, margin, and inventory every day. So that I liked. We were just always involved with numbers. We just wanted to make Under Armour as efficient as possible from an inventory standpoint. So when that summer was done, I really liked it. And I thought to myself, hey, I could see myself coming back to Under Armour. I
Yeah,
had two great internships there. It was two wonderful summers, and the city of Baltimore really started to grow on me.
absolutely. How did being a finance and econ concentration help you in both those internship roles before we get into the full-time position?
Yeah, no, I think it was nice having that different background. So a lot of people that I was working with, especially the second summer, it was more supply chain and operations. So it was a lot of other students, other interns at the time had more of that supply chain and operation background. But I thought it was kind of unique to have that finance and economic background. And by chance, my manager was the head of North American inventory team, but more of a supply chain focus. But he actually back when he was in school, majored in finance and economics. So it's kind of he's still like, hey, you know what? I know you're not the typical supply chain student, but I think this is good, and you'll have more areas of expertise in other areas, and then you can start to learn the supply chain things as we go. So I thought it was very helpful to have that
Awesome.
background of finance and economics, and then take it over to the supply chain world.
So now tell us a little bit more about full time. You did the two internships with Under Armour. You had great experience. One you were kind of analyzing and planning for future Olympics, and the next year doing more revenue and margin optimization. And then what was the first position as a full time analyst or associate at Under Armour? What did that look like?
Sure. So after my junior year, kind of similar to after my sophomore year, I was like, okay, I really like Baltimore. After my junior year, okay, I love Baltimore. I love Under Armour. I want to hopefully land a full-time position. So stayed in touch with my manager throughout my senior year. And then during the winter, right after Christmas break, he offered me a full-time position to come back and join the team as an inventory analyst. So definitely jumped at that position. And it was kind of taking what I learned course through BC and then applying what I've learned over the internship and now bringing that into a full-term role. So liked my time on the inventory team, and kind of as you were talking about earlier, if you asked me when I was a senior in high school where I thought I would be after graduating from CSOM, I would have said, oh, probably somewhere on Wall Street. But after taking a class like Portico with Professor Amy Lacombe or an operations class with Professor John Neal, I realized, hey, you know what? There's a lot more out there in the business world than just going to work on Wall Street.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought Under Armour would be a good fit for me. Liked my time on the inventory team, and then after a couple of years, I transitioned over to a position on the sales team with a specific focus on off-price sales. So this was working with customers directly at TJ Maxx headquarters, which is up right in the BC neck of the woods up in
Yeah.
Framingham,
Yep.
and then at Ross stores. So we would work with their buyers located in New York City and then a couple up in Burlington. So again, up in Massachusetts. So I liked that aspect of the business. I learned a lot. It was interesting to me how on the inventory team, that was all internal facing. So it only worked with people at Under Armour. But then on the off-price sales team, I started to work with customers and presenting Under Armour in a way outside of the company. So I did like that aspect, and working with people, not just with Under Armour in their email. It was nice to have a different change of pace. But what I realized on that team is I was trying to provide solutions to problems that already happened on the front end of the business. So it was good. It was good problem solving. But actually, as of a couple of weeks ago, I started a new position in our planning organization. So the goal here now in the planning organization will be to tackle problems up front on the front end of the supply chain before they actually happen, and then to kind of bring it full circle to hopefully alleviate pressures that the inventory team or the off-price sales team feel.
And
So
just being able to work in all those roles, you're starting to see how it all connects and collaborates together, right?
exactly, just starting to get a different feel of, okay, you know what, something that we do in this part of the business will actually have impacts on that part of the business and vice versa. So now I'm starting to see different part of the business, how different teams interact, and realizing how much cross-functional work there is. And I'm meeting people on my new role who I've emailed with plenty over the past couple of years, but never actually sat down in a meeting with. So definitely been a good experience learning a different part of the business and trying out something new in the planning world.
Yeah. So could you talk a little bit about that? Because that's something that you get in more of that I find you get more in the operations supply chain role. Can you talk about your work cross-functionally, kind of, your experience with it and how it's grown over your scope?
Sure. So, kind of to tie it back to BC, one of the things that I would always dread when I would look at a course syllabus was seeing, okay, here, multiple group projects throughout the year or a semester-long group project. I was definitely someone that just wanted to get work done on my own terms and do it by myself. But now working for a $5 billion company, I've quickly realized you can't run a $5 billion company by yourself. You need a lot of cross-functional work every day. Definitely working with multiple teams, whether it be teams in Asia who are working on actually physically making the product and placing the buys, versus someone who's sitting in Baltimore who's saying like, hey, you know what, I think we're going to need 50,000 of this men's quarter zip for next fall. What could we do to make that? When's the most efficient time to actually make the product? It's been a very good cross-functional work, and you realize you do need to work with so many people. In my previous roles, my manager and I were tasked with creating a new program from scratch that would have $100 million in revenue within the first couple years. So we were sitting down and we realized, hey, we're going to need to involve people from merchandising, people from our sourcing team, people from supply planning, people from finance to make sure we're hitting the targets that they need us to hit. So it's definitely extremely cross-functional every day. You just need to make sure that you're getting out of your silo when working with different people, because at the end of the day, you want to make Under Armour the best company it can possibly be. And there's no way that anyone could do it by themselves.
Gotcha. Could you talk about some skills you use on the job?
Yep, I think kind of you hit on this word earlier, but analytics is definitely a huge one, and then collaboration. So go to collaboration first, just because that ties into the previous response about group project. But every day, it's the collaboration, the communication. You're working with people, and I think I've been fortunate that I've been able to work with people throughout all levels of the company. At Under Armour, it's been great. No one just looks at you like, hey, you know what, you just started here a year ago. You're fresh out of college. We're not gonna take what you say and you know put it over there. People want to listen and really learn, and I think that's been something that's very helpful. So this communication and collaboration have been very important, making sure you're getting your point across, especially when you're trying to work on a tight deadline and you're doing your part. And it's like, hey, John Smith, I need you to make sure, please have this done by Friday at noon. So then another name, Jane Doe, can have her part done by Friday at 2, and then we could kick it off over the weekend. A lot of times at Under Armour, we need things to systematically run over the weekend. So maybe Friday at 2, things will start to kick off, and we'll have our new projections come Monday morning on where we think sales will be in the fall of 21. So it's definitely, kind of making sure everyone does their job, does it on time. And then analytics, I'm especially seeing that in previous roles and now even in this new role, just important how numbers are. And even if something's like, oh, it's only a couple of percentage points off, it could make a huge difference, especially with a big company and you're talking a lot of dollars. Like 1% could be a few $1 million depending on a certain program you're looking at.
Yeah.
So those are things, a few $1 million. If we had an extra couple $1 million here, a couple $1 million there, that really adds up. And maybe we can invest in more innovation or marketing just to try to grow Under Armour and increase our market share in this industry.
Good, good. So, are there any qualifications? So, I'm a young freshman, sophomore. Are there any qualifications I should look at to get hired by a company like Under Armour, or anything I need specifically?
Sure. I think it's not like it's something as technical as, say, maybe you're trying to get a job in information systems where you need to make sure you know how to do this coding and the different languages and coding. So I'm not going to say anything like that, but I think the thing that I wish I could have taken back with me to freshman year is to try and get as well-rounded as possible. So I think at BC, I think that is great how we have first couple of years, you're taking courses throughout all different programs. And just because you're a finance major or econ major, you don't only have to take finance and economics classes. I think that's great how BC does that to give you exposure to different areas. And I think during my senior year and junior year, I focused on electives that were more of that finance and econ focused, which I enjoyed at the time. But looking back, oh, it might have been nice if I took another operations class or I took another supply chain class, maybe just to get more familiar. So then when I started right out of college, I was more pick up on certain lingo that get used, certain acronyms. So I think just try and be as well rounded as possible.
Gotcha. Good. Well, where can someone learn more about some of the Under Armour programs or internships that are offered? You said, I don't know if there's official programs or you guys have official like analyst or internship
Sure.
programs,
Yep.
but
No, there should
love
be
to hear
on
more.
so the program, unfortunately, with everything going on this summer, had to get canceled.
Yeah.
But I just saw an email within the past couple weeks, I want to say, where Under Armour is going to hopefully kick off their 2021 program, and we'll have it hopefully like normal next year in the summer of 2021. It usually starts end of July, early June. So there should be online Under Armour careers. That's where people can apply for jobs out of college for Under Armour, and then also they'll have a section on their internship program. And then also, please feel free to contact me as well on LinkedIn. I know I have a pretty common name with Joe Kelly, but hopefully you'll be able to find me through BC Connections, or I can also give my Under Armour email address if that's okay with you.
Yeah, and I can share that. So we linked this video we have a career page, and I can make sure we include your Under Armour email and both your LinkedIn, so we can
Perfect.
get this to our students that they have it. So I'll make sure that's there.
Okay, great. Yeah, and please feel free to reach out at any time. I'd say email is definitely the better option, but I check in LinkedIn regularly as well.
Good. All right. Well, Joe, that's all I got for you. Thanks for joining.
Thank you very much, Drew, and best of luck to everyone.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you too.